And I actually want to share with you my story by the life of a young man that I met at that particular village. If we can show the photo. Sorry, it's a little bit dark, but so this is a young man. I'm sure that all of you have been bombarded with a lot of images, visual images of little children, of people in general, so that's okay. And I don't expect you to remember all the names. But you know what? I won't even tell you his name. Because his name and who he is actually not the most important point. Who he believes in and how his faith actually takes him through life's many challenges is really the point I want to share with you all. And in case you're wondering, the woman who's standing next to him is actually me without makeup. I often have trouble recognizing myself in the morning anyway, so that's okay, just a little bit about this young man. He's 21 years old. He looks a lot younger than 21. He actually represents collectively hundreds and thousands of young Cambodians who actually suffered under the Khmer Rouge regime. His family lost everything materially. But you know what, being poor in Cambodia is really part of life. His family is just particularly poor. Because that particular village where you see all the rice paddy fields and everybody harvesting, his family doesn't even own a farmland. So his family is pretty low in the rank. This young man, he loves studying. He would used to walk 12 kilometers every day to go to the school in the next village to go and study. Unfortunately, his father left his mother and his two other brothers when he was 14, and his mom could no longer afford to send him to school. So he stopped school when he was grade 8. So what could he do? He just went home, tended the cows, and feed the chickens. 4 years ago, when he was 17, a local pastor actually visited his family and said, hey, there's actually a project called Project Kamayaho, which was organized by the Anglican Church around there, whereby they actually provide free accommodation and education to the poor of the poor, so that the children can actually go to school. However, there's an entry requirement. You need to be able to speak English before you can enter. This young man during that time, he cannot speak a single word of English, but the pastor said, why not, just try, go for the interview. And miraculously he passed. He was absolutely over the moon that he can start studying again, even though he's picking up from grade 8. And he thought to himself that this is a God-sent opportunity. So he enrolled in 2005 in March. 3 months later, he was baptized. Not only was he actually baptized, he also persuaded his mom and his 2 brothers to also baptize. So that was in July 2005. He continued his study, and 2 years later, in 2007, he graduated from the school with very good grades. And because of his English skills and his computer skills, he was able to secure a job at a hotel in the next village. So he became the breadwinner, and he was very proud when he told me that finally he can send his 2 younger brothers to go to school. 6 months into the job though, he started getting very sick where he was working in the hotel. He started having heart palpitations. He was throwing up literally every time he ate, and he couldn't sleep. And the hotel just could not keep him because he wasn't functioning at all. And so he had to resign and to go back to his village. And this time when he went home, he couldn't even help his mom because he was too sick. So he was sick for almost a year when I met him in last November 2008. He hasn't been able to have a job, he wasn't able to go to school, and that's when I met him. And he has forgotten a lot of his English. But when I asked him, you know, is there anything I can pray for you about? He said in his broken English that if it is God's will, he want to get better and he want to go back to school. I was actually very humbled because here is the young man who doesn't even own a Bible. He has no Christian resources available to him, and he's sick as a dog. Doesn't even have money to go to school, or doesn't even have money to go and see a doctor. Yet he doesn't blame God for giving him the good taste of life and taking it away, only for that very short 6 months. He didn't blame God. He actually said, if it is God's will, he didn't actually say, I want to be healthy. And I saw that his faith is just so simple and so pure. He wasn't bargaining with God because even though he was very sick, he was still attending the youth service that the local pastor who got him into the school. He was still attending that throughout that whole year in 2008 when he was sick. And he didn't bargain with God to say, "Look, Lord, give me some farmland, give me a way to basically support my family." He didn't ask for any of that. So I was very humbled when he actually asked for that, just to be well and to be able to go to school. And you remember at the very beginning, we were talking about that 65% of Cambodians are actually illiterate. I think education is really the only way for them to actually get out of the poverty cycle. Especially for these young people. They will be the future leaders of their community, be it a very small village, and they will be future leaders of the local churches. I mean, we were there for 2 days at that particular village. How much can we spread the good news? We need to have local people who can actually continue to plow the soil, who can continue to water, and continue to go and spread the good news locally. And that's why I urge you all to really consider, because at the live auction, there will be a particular program whereby we can go and support these children to go to school for very small amount. So to end, I just want you to look at his face, and I want to remind you all of some of the nameless heroes in the Bible. You know, not a lot of the heroes or not a lot of the people that Jesus used in his parables actually got names. Remember the Good Samaritan? He was only known as the Good Samaritan, but he actually saved the life of a stranger who was robbed. And you remember the faithful centurion? His name's not Michael, we don't even know his name. But he was remembered as a centurion who actually asked Jesus, "I don't even deserve you to come under my roof, but if you say the word, my servant will be healed." And there's also this poor widow who only got 2 coins. But Jesus said, what she actually gave up was her life savings, and it added up to more than everybody else at the temple treasury. Why are these people important? Not because of who they are, not because of their names, but because of their faith. And this is the same for this young man. Thank you.